Content warning, opening. This episode of Finding Light in Darkness contains honest personal conversations about trauma, PTSD, anxiety, grief, depression, addiction, and emotional distress. It may be triggering for some listeners. Please take care while listening and skip any parts you need to. Crisis resources are listed at the end of the episode. And always remember, reaching out isn't giving up, it's fighting back.
Righto, welcome everyone. Whether you're listening in bed, pacing around the backyard, curled up on the couch, or hiding under the doona with snacks, you've landed here with us, and we're bloody glad you did.
Couldn't have said it better. Grab your tea, coffee, vape, dog, blanket, whatever keeps you grounded. This is your next half hour or so of honest conversation, bad jokes, and some very real moments.
And if you're new here, brace yourself. We don't do fake here, we do real, we do messy, we do.
And we also do bad humor. Speaking of which, hey Michael, why did the anxious podcaster cross the road?
I'm afraid to ask.
To check if the other side had Wi-Fi and emotional support.
That one's a little too real.
Alright, we'll officially start in about 2 minutes. Deep breath, crew. Let's do this together.
Yeah, leave the light on. If I'll ever change, been dreaming of Nashville, Tennessee, while the cold here in Sweden got the best of me. Well, haven't I got better things to think about than that? Like deadlines, rent's due, bills pile up, family day in, day out, the clock's mocking me, getting old, oh, got the kids, deserve so much more than this, gotta get rich. You said I never could change. I thought I never could change. They said I never could change. Damn right I never would. Leave the light on. Oh. Leave the light on. Oh. Leave the light on. Oh. Just leave the light on. Oh. If I never change, if I never change, if I never change, if I never change, if I never change.
So why a 9.5? Why not wait until 10?
Because the story doesn't always fit into neat boxes. We've covered so much in the last 9 episodes, and we realized it needed a pause, a moment to breathe, reflect, and look back before we keep charging forward.
Exactly. There've been so many moments across this journey where listeners reached out and said, "Thank you, I felt seen." And this episode is for them and for us.
This one's personal. We're going to talk about what we've learned from this podcast, what you've shared with us, and the stuff that didn't make it into the main episodes, the stuff between the lines.
Episode 1 was raw. That was the first time, Scott, you really laid out your story. The PTSD, the childhood pain, the foundations of the darkness.
Yeah, that one was hard. Not because I didn't want to say it, but because I'd never said it like that before. And it was the beginning of realizing, wait, Maybe I'm not the only one who grew up feeling broken before they even had language for it.
And episode 2, where we covered trauma and memory loss, the flashbacks and the panic.
That one stayed with me because you didn't just talk about symptoms, you made it human. I think that's what I've always wanted from this podcast, to take those clinical words and show what they feel like. So someone sitting in silence might hear it and go, that's me, I'm not crazy.
And then came episode 3, when we brought in the grief. That was the first time we really sat with the loss of your partner.
Yeah, 4th August 2016. That date is seared into me. But that episode, that was the first time I talked about her in a way that celebrated her memory instead of just drowning in it.
You honoured her beautifully, mate. And you showed that grief isn't about forgetting. It's about carrying forward.
Episode 4 was about addiction. And that one, phew, that one hurt.
Yeah, because addiction's never just about the substance. It's about what we're running from. And for me, it was pain, loneliness, shame, all the stuff I buried under booze and noise.
And you were so honest about how relapse isn't failure. It's part of the path. That resonated with a lot of people.
Because if we don't talk about it honestly, people die in silence. Simple as that.
Episode 5 was the anxiety deep dive. That was the everything's fine until suddenly it's not episode.
Yeah, the why did I just cry in the cereal aisle episode. And then we had 5.5, where I stepped back and you two legends took the wheel. Which brings me to this. Patrick, I just want to say properly, in front of everyone, thank you.
Oh, mate.
When I couldn't talk, you spoke for me. You carried the weight of my story with respect, not pity. And that gave me space to breathe. I'll never forget that.
We were all holding space for you, Scott. But yeah, Patrick, you nailed that episode. Calm, insightful, compassionate. You helped people understand what Scott was living through.
It was an honour, truly.
Episode 7 took us into the deep waters of anxiety. That one felt like a turning point. We introduced the 3 L's: learn, limit, listen.
Yeah, that's been my anchor, still is, especially when I feel the spiral start. Those 3 words pull me back from the edge.
I remember how many people reached out after that one. Like, wait, I'm not the only one who gets anxiety from answering the phone.
Exactly. And episode 8 and 9, Depression's Many Faces, they were the hardest to write. Because that was me admitting I wear masks, that I shut down, that I still hate myself sometimes.
That's what made it powerful. You showed that healing isn't a highlight reel. It's standing in front of the mirror and saying, I'm still here, even if I don't recognize who I see.
Damn, that hit me, mate. Alright, this next part, this one's for the listeners. You've sent in messages, answers to our polls, raw stories, little fragments of pain and light, and I've read every single one. Sometimes at 3 a.m., crying quietly, sometimes laughing unexpectedly. Every one of them mattered.
Our poll question from episode 9 was, do you love yourself? Over 80% of responses were sometimes or no.
Which is heartbreaking, but also honest. And it shows exactly why this podcast exists, because we're not here to teach you how to love yourself overnight. We're here to remind you that you're not alone while you figure it out.
Here's one that stuck with me, from Jake, 32, Victoria. Some days I feel like a ghost in my own life. I walk into rooms and forget why I'm there. I smile when people expect me to. I've become so good at pretending I'm okay that I think I've forgotten who I actually am. Jake, mate, that hit me like a gut punch.
That message could have been written by any one of us. That's the thing about mental health. It wears the same face on different people. But when we speak it out loud, that's when it starts to shift.
I don't want to fix you. That's never been the goal. I just want to sit beside you and say, yeah, I get it. I've been in that storm too.
And that's where the healing begins. Not when someone hands you answers, but when someone simply says, me too.
All right, let's turn the corner for a second. Let's talk about what's helped us. Not fixed us, but helped.
For me, routine. I know it sounds basic, but when depression hits, the first thing that goes is structure. So I started with 3 things: make my bed, drink water, go outside, even if it's just to the mailbox.
Brilliant. Those are tiny wins, but they matter. When your brain tells you that you're useless, completing a task, any task, proves it wrong.
My go-to is writing. I journal when I feel like exploding, and I don't write for insight. I write to empty the cup, even if it's just scribbles, even if it's, I don't know what to write. That alone lets something move.
Same here. And when I couldn't write, I talked into my phone like I was leaving voicemails to the future me. Sometimes I just said, I'm not okay, but I'm still here.
Okay, I think we all need a joke before this gets too heavy again.
Oh, I've got one, but it's bad.
Perfect. That's our brand.
All right, why did the depressed skeleton refuse to go to therapy?
Oh no.
Because he didn't have the guts to face his trauma.
Oh gee, that was horrible.
I love it.
We heal with humor around here. It's cheaper than a shrink and almost as effective.
You know what people don't see? The laughs between recordings. The random moments where Scott's like, wait, I need a snack, and comes back with a sandwich the size of a small toddler.
Or that one time he accidentally recorded half an episode with his mic unplugged.
Oi, that was one time. But it was a good metaphor, wasn't it? Talking your heart out only to realize no one could hear you. That's depression in a nutshell.
Wow. He turned a tech fail into an emotional metaphor. This is why he's the star.
Nah, we're all part of this. I couldn't do it without you both. This podcast, it's not mine, it's ours, and more importantly, it's the listeners. So if you're still with us, here's what I want you to know. You are not alone, you are not weird, broken, or unworthy. You are a miracle in motion. Even if no one told you that today, I just did.
And we're proud of you. Whether you got out of bed or stayed under the covers all day, whether you reached out or stayed quiet, whether you cried or laughed or did both at once, you're still here, and that matters.
You've walked through hell and kept walking. That's strength, that's survival, and that's worthy of respect.
So from me, Michael, and Patrick, thank you for being here, thank you for listening, and thank you for reminding us why we do this.
You know what I've noticed, Scott? Going back and re-listening to episodes 1 through 3, there were things you said in passing that were way deeper than we realised at the time.
Yeah?
In episode 1, you said, sometimes I feel like I was born into grief, and you kind of brushed past it. But mate, that's not a throwaway line. That's generational pain. That's the weight of stuff passed down through silence.
Wow, you're right. I grew up thinking sadness was just the background noise of life, and that line came out like a whisper, but it meant everything. Because when you don't know joy exists, sadness doesn't even register as abnormal.
That's the insidious part. You think your struggle is just life. You don't realize there's a whole other way to live, with laughter, connection, rest.
And episode 2, when we talked about trauma memory, I didn't realize how many people would write in saying, I thought I was just forgetful. I didn't realize my brain was protecting me.
That's the power of calling it out, of saying, hey, it's not that you're broken. Your brain is trying to keep you safe, even if it hurts you to do it.
There's a story I never told properly in any of the episodes, but it fits here. There was a day in 2017, right in the thick of my PTSD spirals. I was walking through Coles and I had a panic attack in the freezer aisle. My vision blurred. I dropped the frozen peas. I sat on the ground right next to the crumbed fish fingers, and I couldn't remember my own name.
Mate,
I sat there for 5 full minutes just whispering, who am I? I didn't pass out, I didn't collapse, but my brain left the room without warning. That's what trauma does. It takes the wheel when it thinks you're in danger, and sometimes the danger is just overstimulating lights and a playlist from 1996.
That's the kind of thing that people think only happens in movies. But no, that's real. That's the day-to-day reality of trauma living in your body.
I eventually stood up, walked out, got to the car, and just sobbed. And that moment, that was the first time I said, I need help, not advice, not motivation, just help.
let's do a rapid-fire read of some of the most powerful things our listeners said in the last few months.
Yes, these need to be heard. Real people, real pain, real strength. Your episodes feel like someone finally sat next to me in the dark instead of trying to drag me into the light. Tara, 41, New South Wales. I listened to episode 5 under a blanket with my panic attack still mid-spin. I didn't move, but I felt less alone. David, 24, VIC. The 3 L's changed how I speak to myself. I've stopped asking, what's wrong with me? And started asking, what are you trying to tell me? Sophia, 26, NZ. When Scott talked about the mirror lying, that was me. I've been fighting with that reflection for years. Now I just say, not today, mate. Eddie, 58, WA. Your cartoon voice jokes with serious topics gave me something I didn't know I needed, permission to laugh while healing. Jem, Tigapulu, PNG.
Every one of these messages is a reminder that healing doesn't have one voice. It has thousands.
And every one of them is a lifeline, not just for the person who sent it, but for someone else who needed to hear it.
We asked listeners to write one paragraph to their younger self. Here's a mix of what came in, and then we'll do our own. Dear me, age 12, I'm sorry I called you dramatic when you cried alone. You were trying your best with no tools and no love. You were stronger than I ever gave you credit for. Dear 16-year-old me, you don't have to earn love by shrinking. One day, you'll take up space and the right people will celebrate it. To the version of me who was just trying to survive, you did it. We're still here. Thank you for not giving up, even when it hurt to breathe.
I want to read mine now. Hey, little Scott, you didn't imagine the pain. It was real, but you kept going. You made it. You built a life from rubble and memory. You still cry sometimes, and you're still scared. But mate, you grew into the man you always needed.
That hit.
That is the work, isn't it? Not just surviving, but becoming who we needed when we were young. Let's play this out. If you could go back to just one episode, any moment in the podcast so far, and whisper something into your own ear while recording it, what would you say?
Ooh, good question. I think I'd go back to episode 3, where I was talking about the loss of my partner, and I'd whisper, "It's okay to cry while you talk. You don't have to sound brave to be strong."
That's powerful.
Because I remember trying so damn hard to hold it together while telling that story. But the truth is, what people needed wasn't the polished version. They needed the real one, the broken one, the one that still shakes when he says her name.
Mate, that was already one of the rawest moments. But yeah, giving yourself permission to feel on air is such a big deal.
I'd go back to episode 5.5 actually. I'd say, you're not here to explain Scott, you're here to honour him. Because I was so careful with what I said, wanting to get it right. But healing doesn't come from saying the perfect thing. It comes from being present. That's what I tried to do, and I hope it helped.
All right, we're getting emotional again. Time for a breather. Who's got a joke?
Okay, here's one. Why don't depressed people like knock-knock jokes?
Oh no. Here we go.
Because they're scared nobody's on the other side.
Wheeze is laughing. Michael, that's so dark, and yet accurate.
Can we put that on a mug?
Only if we add, designed by Feral Fusion Teas, laughs.
Can we touch on something that doesn't always get enough airtime? The spiritual side of depression. Because so many people describe it as a soul-deep emptiness.
Yeah, not just mental, not just emotional. It feels cosmic, like something in you fell through the cracks of the universe.
And the worst part is, you start to wonder if you deserve it. If maybe the universe forgot about you on purpose.
I've had nights, silent 3 a.m. nights, where I looked up at the ceiling and said, "Hey, if you're listening, give me a sign, anything." And when nothing came, I started to think that maybe the silence was the answer.
But what if the silence isn't rejection? What if it's an invitation? An invitation to listen to yourself after spending a lifetime trying to please everyone else.
Damn, that just hit different.
It's why so many spiritual traditions talk about the dark night of the soul, because it's not about losing your light. It's about remembering that you are the light.
Let's close the loop here. Remember what we talked about in episode 9? Einstein, the idea that time isn't real, that it's a loop, not a straight line.
And if that's true, healing doesn't come from waiting it out. It comes from reaching into the loop and saying, I'm ready to face this, right now, right here.
We keep waiting for the future to fix us, for some version of us over there to have it together. But mate, there is no over there, there's only right here, this breath, this moment, this chance to be a little gentler with yourself.
So if you're listening and you're in the middle of your loop, know this. You're not stuck. You're not doomed. You're just in it. And that's okay.
You can heal at your own speed, in your own way. You don't need permission to start. Just take one step, and then another. And when you can't walk, rest. We'll wait for you.
Scott, mate, this episode, it's something special. Not just because of what we've covered, but because of who you've become across it.
I'm still becoming, man, still learning, still unlearning too. But I'm proud of us, of this, of you both. And to every listener who made it through the shadows with us, I see you, I believe you, and I'm here for you.
And just so it's said again, on record, thank you, Scott, for your bravery, for your honesty, for letting the world see you without the mask.
Thank you, Patrick, for stepping in when I couldn't, for holding the mic while I held my breath.
This isn't the end, it's just the halfway point. And what's coming next? Even deeper, even realer, even brighter. If this episode stirred something inside you, if you felt seen, heard, understood, or even overwhelmed, please take a moment, reach out. You don't have to go through it alone.
Lifeline 131114 or text 0477 131114.
Beyond Blue, call a counsellor on 1300224636 or chat to a counsellor online.
Scott's email, chatwithscott, findthelight@gmail.com. This is your reminder that reaching out isn't giving up, it's fighting back.
We'll see you in episode 10. Until then, take care of yourselves. Hold space, hold love, and most of all, hold the light.
Next time, we begin a whole new arc. But for now, just breathe. We've got you.
Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves.
And until we meet again, hold the light, even if it's just a flicker.
Walk with me. Let's leave the past behind. Walk with me. There's something else we need to find. Say you'll go, don't make me wait. There's no need to hesitate. Let's make footprints in the sand. Let's make miracles. Come hold my hand. Let's find something new, me and you. Blue is the sky, like the color of your eyes. Blue is your heart. It's been like that from the start. Say you'll stay till the morning light. I'll help you through the fight. Let's leave the past behind. Walk with me down the road. There's sunshine